In astrology, most people are familiar with the sun sign, the core identity, or the moon sign, which reveals the emotional world within. But often overlooked is the ascendant, the first thing you show the world the moment you walk into it. Your ascendant is how you start things. It's your automatic response, your instinctive approach to life, your default operating system, often unconscious but constantly in motion. But to truly understand the ascendant, we can't just stop at what sign is rising. We have to look at the structure behind it. Because the ascendant doesn't exist in isolation, it initiates a whole chain reaction. The houses that follow show how that rising energy unfolds into real life, in money, communication, relationships, work, ambition, transformation, and more. In this series, I'll focus specifically on analyzing the houses that follow the rising sign, from the 2nd to the 12th, to explore how your initial energy, your entry point into life, is expressed across different aspects of your experience. Topics like the ruling planet of the ascendant, aspects, sign dispositors, and deeper technical layers will be covered in a separate, more advanced series, so that each layer is explored thoroughly without rushing the foundation. And to kick things off, who better to start with than Aries Rising, the one born to begin? But what's happening behind that bold entrance? Let's walk through the houses behind Aries Rising and see what's really driving the fire. Aries Rising. I came to begin. I won't wait for someone else to speak first. People with Aries Rising don't wait for life to knock on their door. They kick it open and ask, "So, got anything for me to do?" Driven by the raw, fiery instinct of the first house, these folks are impulsive, direct, and constantly in motion. If they like something, they do it. If they don't, they're out. But living with a do it if I feel like it mentality often means not finishing what they started. Why? Because opposite their Aries ascendant lies the 7th house in Libra, constantly pulling them back with the question, what about others? Are you paying attention to connection, not just conquest? Aries Rising is born to begin, but must learn to sustain. They're born to conquer, but must learn to share victory. And they're born to live truthfully, but must learn how to be honest without being harsh. 2nd house in Taurus. Wants stability, but impulsive nature makes money unstable. Despite being fiery and action-driven, Aries Rising often finds their relationship with money shaped by the grounded, comfort-seeking Taurus 2nd house. They crave financial security, but their temperament is far from consistent. They can make money quickly because of their boldness, but they often lose it just as fast through impulsive spending, risky investments, or chasing temporary excitement. Taurus tells them to go slow. Aries wants it now. Lesson here: learn to be patient, build slow, keep steady. True value isn't in what you gain fast, but in what lasts. 3rd house in Gemini. Quick to speak, but not always deep in thought. Aries Rising with Gemini in the 3rd house are talkative, clever, and charming. They learn fast, speak faster, and connect easily with others, but not always meaningfully. They often live in a skimming mode, knowing a little about everything, but rarely going deep. They're witty but can be blunt or thoughtless, saying things before thinking of their impact. Lesson here: slow down the mind, learn to listen deeply and speak with intention. One careless word can undo trust that took years to build. 4th house in Cancer. Tough on the outside, tender on the inside. Though they present as bold and independent, Aries Rising with Cancer in the 4th house are emotionally sensitive and deeply connected to their roots. They may miss home, long for their mother, or carry emotional baggage from childhood more than they admit. If they grew up without feeling safe or supported, they may harden their exterior, saying, "I don't need anyone," when in fact, they crave care and emotional safety more than most. Lesson here: healing the inner child is essential. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the beginning of real strength. 5th house in Leo. Loves out loud, needs attention, plays big or not at all. Romance, creativity, and joy for Aries Rising come through big Leo energy. They love with fire, passion, and a flair for the dramatic. They don't just want love. They want love that's loud, visible, and celebrated. They're generous, loyal, and emotionally all in, but also deeply prideful. If hurt, their ego takes the hit first, and forgiveness isn't quick. Lesson here: learn that love doesn't always need a stage. Sometimes quiet loyalty is worth more than loud applause. 6th house Virgo. Self-discipline and the inner struggle of perfectionism. The 6th house in Virgo for Aries rising is not just about work and health. It reveals profound inner barriers in how they treat themselves. Virgo's perfectionism clashes with Aries' impulsive and fiery nature, creating constant internal conflict. The desire for flawless precision versus the instinct to act quickly and break boundaries. This often traps Aries rising in their own standards and routines. Pressure arises not only externally, but also as inner turmoil. They crave freedom, yet fear losing control. Their mental health is vulnerable to prolonged stress, leading to psychological fatigue. Deep lesson: they must cultivate self-compassion and lower unrealistic demands. Letting go of perfection opens space for creativity and rest. Good health is the foundation of all achievements, and softness towards oneself is not weakness, but a quiet strength. 7th house in Libra. Learning balance through relationships. This is the mirror Aries rising must face, and often their biggest challenge. They're used to making decisions quickly, solo, but Libra in the 7th house says, you're not alone. Pay attention. In love or partnership, they struggle to balance self and other. They think, but I was being real, while forgetting the other person needs to feel heard, not just bulldozed. Lesson here: relationships aren't battles to win. 8th house is Scorpio. Transformation through darkness and the art of power transmutation. The 8th house in Scorpio symbolizes deep transformation, power, and profound inner shifts. For Aries rising, this is not superficial change, but a battle with their deepest self, the repressed ego, hidden fears, and buried emotions. Fears of loss, control, and betrayal lurk silently, sometimes hindering deep connection with others. Yet the 8th house Scorpio energy carries immense healing power, the ability to turn pain into wisdom and wounds into strength. They can endlessly reinvent themselves if they learn to embrace the darkness instead of fleeing it. Deep lesson: facing inner darkness is not defeat, but the gateway to their greatest potential. Aries rising must empower themselves through forgiveness, letting go of controlling habits, and opening to life's constant transformations. This path transforms them into a stronger, more integrated version. 9th house in Sagittarius. If it feels limiting, they're out. With Sagittarius ruling the 9th house, Aries rising craves adventure, meaning, and freedom. They're always asking, what else is out there? They love to travel, explore, and learn by doing, not from textbooks. They're not linear thinkers, they leap. Their philosophy is, try it first, ask questions later. At times, they can be surprisingly deep, and other times, wildly contradictory. Lesson here: freedom is not the absence of rules. It's the presence of purpose. Learning how to stay curious while committing to a path is the key. 10th house Capricorn. Steadfastness on the path of building and self-confrontation. The 10th house in Capricorn represents perseverance, responsibility, and clear career goals. For Aries rising, this poses a great challenge: fiery impulsiveness versus the slow, steady climb demanded by Capricorn. Fear of failure and inadequacy often drive them to overwork, neglecting emotional needs and rest. They may get trapped in societal rules and lose touch with their authentic values, chasing status or external approval. Deep lesson: to build a sustainable career, Aries rising must balance creative passion with necessary discipline. They must discern when to hold firm and when to adapt. Most importantly, reconnecting with core inner values and balancing career with personal life helps prevent burnout and confusion. 11th house Aquarius. Freedom in thought and responsibility in connection. The 11th house in Aquarius symbolizes innovation, pioneering spirit, and communal connection, fueling Aries rising's craving for mental freedom and independent self-expression. It is a source of boundless creativity and visionary ideas. However, this desire for uniqueness can lead to loneliness or misunderstanding. They wrestle between personal freedom and responsibility to social groups or communities. Deep lesson: Aries Rising needs to harmonize individuality with collective needs, listening and respecting differences while maintaining their identity. They must transform intuition and sensitivity into practical action to positively and sustainably impact their community without losing themselves. 12th house in Pisces. So much feeling, but can't always name it. One of the most hidden layers of Aries Rising is their emotional sensitivity, shaped by Pisces in the 12th house. People may think they lack depth, but they feel deeply. They just don't know how to explain it. They often don't realize they're hurt until they lash out. Their emotions get bottled up, blurred, or redirected into reckless behavior. They think they're fine until they crash. Lesson here: emotional literacy matters. When they learn to name what they feel, they can choose how to respond instead of react. Healing begins with awareness. In summary, Aries Rising comes here to ignite, to start what others are too afraid to attempt, to move forward even when the path isn't clear. But without learning to listen, to wait, to connect, they risk being brave but alone, strong but misunderstood, and passionate but scattered. They seek someone to understand them. But sometimes they haven't even taken the time to understand themselves. The key? Learn to step back. Learn to care, not just conquer. Learn that fire needs direction, or it burns everything down.
If you saw yourself in Aries Rising, know that there's so much more ahead. Taurus Rising is next, and many more ascendants to come. Follow the channel to journey deeper into the soul's awakening through each rising sign. The universe still has messages for you.